Hello everyone. Welcome to Momma Jo's Kitchen. Welcome back. I almost took the day off, but I usually take Sundays off and it's Saturday. Momma Jo's not feeling the best, but you'll have to excuse my choice of attire today. I'm in my pajamas. I want to, I'm staying home today. I'm not doing much, but bringing you all a recipe I think that you all will like. Over here, I have a pizza pan that I have lined in tin foil. And this is one of those ready refrigerated pie crust. And what I did was I took it out of the box and I cut the plastic off the one end. And I set my timer for 15 minutes. It's probably been longer than 15 minutes. But I went ahead and unrolled it. You don't have to grease the tin foil or anything. And I'm going to set this aside, but this is what we're going to be making today is kind of what I call like a rustic free-form crostata. It's an Italian, it's kind of like a tart, but not quite a tart. It's like a cross between a tart and a pie is the best way I can explain it. So what I'm calling today's, with the ingredients that I'm using, cinnamon, apple, pear, and cranberry crostata. So I did have a fresh apple. So I have an apple here. You could use, a Granny Smith if you like a really tart. This is probably not real tart. This is probably like between sweet and tart. I'm trying to think of the name of it. Let me look in the fridge real quick. Oh, it's Gala apples. So that's what I had on hand. I thought I was going to need two of them, but actually I only used one. And what I did was I peeled it and then I sliced it fairly thin, and then I'll show you right here. See how that? And I took a can because I thought it would help with the baking process. I used a can of Food Lion's Bartlett sliced pears, and I took those, and I also, I'll show you one of them here. So I made them all relatively the same, and then I just used a little bit of lime juice and squirted it on the apple slices, and I've mixed these together. Now, if there's a lot of juice, you might want to drain off the juice, but I don't see any juice in the bottom here. So I have these two mixed up, and I did not use the entire can. I used about a half of a can because although we have this pie crust here, what we're going to do is the filling is going to go here in the middle. And you want to leave about a couple inches away from the edge because we are going to bring these edges in. You'll see here in just a second. So what we need to do, we're also going to use a streusel topping. So I just wanted to show you these are set and ready. And I took some cranberries, they're dried when you get them. And I took 1/4 cup and I put it in some hot water and let them soak a little bit. And then I drained them off. So actually I could go ahead and dump those in here. And just incorporate them, just stir them in. Okay, I'm just going to set that aside for a second. We want to go ahead and get that streusel topping made. So I need a bowl. I thought I had a bowl already out. Let me grab. I don't know if this one's big enough. I think this might be big enough. Let me see if my pastry cutter. I'm definitely off today. See, it'll go down, but it's hard to get it to. I want a little bit bigger bowl. Hold on a second. Let's see. That one's I think this will work because this gives me a little more surface area here at the bottom. This one was just a little bit too narrow in the bottom. All right, let me move this back. Hopefully you can see what I'm doing here. Okay, and I'm going to leave a list of ingredients. It'll probably be at the end of the video, but sometimes if I forget, I might put it in the description. I'm going to put in some flour. This is about half a cup of flour. And this is quick oatmeal. That's 1/3 of a cup. And you know me, I much prefer brown sugar over most things than white sugar. So here's 1/4 of a cup of brown sugar. And I think some chopped pecans. And I chopped them up not too fine. You can still see some chunks, and some are pretty small. And I want to say that's a little more than 1/4. It's about 1/4 to 1/3. And I'm just going to kind of break that brown sugar up and kind of stir these with the, kind of mix it in a little bit with my pastry cutter. Okay, and then we have some butter. Now this is kind of almost room temperature. It's not, you don't want it too soft. And we're just going to work that into the flour and the nuts and the brown sugar and now you don't have to you know, put a topping on it if you don't want to. And, you know, this would be really good if you put like a scoop of ice cream. And Michael went to the store earlier, and I told him, I said, either get yourself some ice cream or get yourself some spray whip. And he decided he wanted some spray whip. Now, if you don't have one of these little pastry blenders, you could always use a fork. Okay. And every now and then you have to scrape to get the butter that's stuck on here off. Now we will be turning the oven on. The only reason why I didn't turn the oven on right now is I'm standing in front of the stove. And I tell you what, when you don't feel good, I'm hot and cold. So I don't want to be standing in front of the stove cooking myself at the same time. Okay, I got a nice little crumb mixture here. I'm going to show you. One of these days, well, maybe, I'll have some nicer equipment and stuff to work with. Hold on. Okay, I brought y'all over to see this crumb topping down in the bowl here. That's our topping that's going to go on top. Okay, we'll get started on the filling. Okay, I just turned that oven on the 450 degrees. That is a very high temperature, I do know that. But what we want to do, we want a high temperature to get those apples started and hopefully baking as soon as possible. In this bowl, I have just around it. I didn't level it off or anything because with the pears already being in their juice, and even though I drained them off, I didn't know if I was going to need maybe a little bit more of a thickening. So there's like around a fourth of a cup of cornstarch. And to that, we do want to sweeten. They already have natural sweetness, but we want to add a little bit more sugar. I'm using a half a cup of brown sugar. I recommend the brown sugar, but if you don't want to use the brown sugar, you could use white sugar. And I'm just kind of stirring it and breaking that brown sugar up with my spoon. Okay, here is, I think it's 2 teaspoons of cinnamon, if my memory serves me correctly. Trying to break up some lumps, probably should have whisked it. Now, here is a little bit of white sugar. It's not going in here. This is actually going to go around the crust of the, which I'm going to set that aside so we don't get confused with that. Okay. So here's the cornstarch, the brown sugar, and the cinnamon. Now I'm going to dump. I want to make sure there's no extra liquid or anything. No. I mean, there's hardly any. So I'm going to dump all that in here and stir them all together. Now, if you're not a fan of pears, you could do all apples. Okay, make sure you get all that dry mixed in really well with the fruit. You know, if you don't like cranberries, you could do raisins. That would probably be pretty good too. You know, but soak them in hot water and then drain them off really well before you add them. I know some people don't like cranberries. Some people don't like raisins. You can omit them altogether if you want. Okay, so I'm going to bring this over here. And hopefully I don't have too much topping. I'm going to put this right in the middle. Okay, now, like I say, remember, we want to leave some room. I'm kind of going to flatten it a little bit. That's why I went with 1 apple, because I had a feeling if I did 2, I thought that would be too much. Okay. That looks pretty good. Now, I'm thinking that's way too much crumb topping. So I'm only going to use, I'm just going to sprinkle some on top. I probably won't use it all. You could always take the rest of that, and if you have, maybe you have some pie filling or something up in your cabinet that you have not used, you could, you know, make yourself some crisp that way. Or you could put this in the oven on a baking sheet, and, you know, this would be excellent on, you know, like yogurt or something like that. Get creative. Okay, now the fun part begins. Okay, see how I'm bringing this in? I'm also going to be folding it over, kind of crimping it at the same time, if that makes sense. See how I'm taking my hands and I'm folding that over? Like I'm making little creases in it as I'm going along. Now, if the crust is really delicate, you can always take a little water to kind of patch that up. Okay, now I'm just kind of like patting that down a little bit. Let me bring you over so you can get a closer look. Okay, see the crust? Like these little places here, you can pinch it. You can take a little bit of water and just kind of repair those little places. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to get a little water and pinch it. And then I'm going to wet all this. And I'm going to sprinkle with some sugar, okay? Okay, let me wet this crust a little bit. And that's also going to help the sugar to stick to it. Now, I guess you could use egg, but then you really have to watch it with browning, which we may have to watch it too. And I might end up having to cover it with some tin foil. We shall see. I just had that one little stubborn spot right there with that crust where it didn't want to, seemed like it didn't want to seal on me. So just go around and check. That's why I say it's rustic looking. Okay, I'm just sprinkling it with some sugar now. Okay, I am going to get this in the oven. I'm just waiting to hear it beep, and we'll get it in there. I'm going to check it after 15 minutes, and I'm going to let you know how it progresses. What we really did is we're looking for a browning, but we don't want to, you know, get our crust too brown, but we want those apples to get cooked, and that's another important reason why to slice your apples pretty thin. The pears are going to be already done because I used canned pears. You could use fresh pears, but, you know, the time, then you got to worry about them getting done at the same time. So I'll let you know. We'll bring you back. Okay, I don't know if you all can see that, but that's after 15 minutes. That's my fire alarm going off because I got the oven door open. Now, see, it oozed a little bit right here. It's not too brown yet, so that's after 15 minutes. I'm probably going to set the timer. I want to make sure it gets done. Let's see, timer. I'm going to at least do another 10 minutes. And I'm going to keep an eye on it. If it's getting too brown, just take a little bit of a tin foil and cover over that. And I forgot to tell you all, with all this extra streusel topping, put it in a freezer bag. You can keep that and put it in the freezer, mark it. It's good for 6 months and use it on something else. Okay, well, we'll be back when it gets a little bit more done. Like I said, another 10, 15 minutes. We just want to make sure the apples are done. I think they're going to be done because I sliced them pretty thin. We just don't want, you know, the crust to get too brown. So we'll be back. Okay, folks, this is what it looks like after the second time. It was in for 15 minutes the first time at 450. And then I put it back in for another 10 minutes. I did not have to tin it with tinfoil. I did not use tinfoil, you know, to cover it. So you got all this real nice browning in here, stuff here. Don't worry about all this that came out here. That's just where some of the filling must have oozed through the crust. What's going to matter is we're going to wait till this cools. And then I'm going to cut into it, and I'm going to get a slice for Michael. And we're going to show you how that looks. And he's going to give you a taste test. We'll be back.
How you doing, YouTube? I'm going to have to read this title because it's a long one. I'm going to taste test the cinnamon apple, pear, and cranberry crostata with pecan streusel topping. Here goes. Wow. That's freaking good. Cinnamon, apples, cranberries, pecans. That's amazing. 2 thumbs up. Remember to like, share, comment, subscribe. Go check out Momma Jo's videos. See how she makes these wonderful dishes. Come back and get you some more goodness. Thank you.